Hello, my name is Bentham and welcome to Factorio, where today we are beginning a new series. The 0.12 update is out and has brought with it a bunch of new features which I think are best enjoyed by starting from the start. So, first of all, I'm going to run through how this series is going to work, and if you're not interested in that, then there is an annotation up now which will take you through to the start of the action. Otherwise, it'll be in the description if I can't work out how to do those annotations. So, this is how the videos are going to run. It's going to be very similar to my previous series, Railworld, which is still ongoing at the time that I start this series, for those worrying that I just cut it without any sort of announcement or anything. So the way it's going to work is that each episode I will play for 1 hour, and then I will play it back at triple speed while talking over it. So it'll be in a 20-minute space of time. And the reason for this is that sometimes Factorio can be quite slow, and people can get a bit bored of it. So I thought that I'd speed things up, keep the pace going, and just sort of compress it into a smaller amount of time so that you can get through it quicker. One thing this does mean is that I'm going to be talking quite quickly. This may throw you off initially, but people have said that after a while they get used to it, and it stops being sort of a little bit overwhelming. Also in the later episodes, I'll be jumping between different activities less, so there'll be less to sort of motor mouth into your face about. So yeah, that is how the videos are going to work. It's going to be basically the same as I've been previously doing. So the series, it is called Factorio Towns, and the reason for this you can probably guess. So in Railworld I had one big central factory, and all the trains delivered either to there or from a couple of other little satellite bases like the oil base or the midpoint base on the other side of the Great Lake. And that's cool. It's quite fun to have this big central hub station where everything is going on. But I've decided this time I'm going to go for the sort of completely the flip side to that. There's going to be just as much trains, but the way they're going to work is going to be completely different. Because in Factorio Towns, there are going to be towns, many of them, spread out across the landscape, all of them doing different things. I'm going for a sort of more realistic style of building this time round. Basically, my inspirations, I guess, are the Industrial Revolution, and just like the British rail system, because it's all about like towns of generally fairly similar sizes being connected by trains, and then each town has its particular thing it specializes in. So one town might make a bunch of cotton and it exports it all over the place, and it gets all its other things imported from other places. That's sort of what I'm going for. So each town will have its own job and will produce a bunch of something to send to the others and get its supplies from somewhere else. And it's sort of, I'm going to try and develop it organically, like it really would have done in the Industrial Revolution, where a new town sets up on the site of some big resource, like an iron deposit. They start mining it, and then they branch out. They start making gears or something, and then they start becoming the town that makes gears. And they get a town like Gear Town or something. They get a name like Gear Town. I'll need help with these names, by the way, so I'll happily take some suggestions for interesting names for new towns that spring up as it happens. So it'll start making gears, and then one day the iron will dry up, and it'll just carry on making gears. It'll get its iron imported from some other place, and it'll sort of continue like that. So the network will slowly spread out more and more, and take up more and more space, and each town will have its own particular job that it does. So yeah, that's how it's going to work. And I think I'm quite looking forward to it. There's going to be some interesting stuff with like train timetables and things like that, because it's no longer just go between the main base and it's one other place. There are all sorts of different towns, all with specific demands and supplies, and I need to sort of work out what to send where to do what and so on and so forth. So it's going to be pretty cool and pretty different game than any other I've really done. And there's going to be a lot of cool train stuff. That is always the sort of motivation for me. More trains, better trains, different trains, that is always a plus. So yeah, that is how the series is going to run. So let's go through the map generator. I've got all the settings up and ready here for how I'm going to do it. I've done a little bit of testing to sort of work out the best way of setting this up. So this is what we've got. So terrain segmentation, sticking with normal on that. That's all just going to be standard and boring and simple. The reason is that in Railworld I had it on big or high or whatever it is, and I ended up with just one giant biome of the same thing stretching into infinity, and that was no fun. So there's going to be a little bit of variation in the terrain. Water, I put that to small because I want some big open plains to have my trains driving through. It's pretty simple. There'll still be plenty of water around, but there's going to be a lot of open spaces to work with and to have fun with. All the ore settings, iron, copper, stone and coal, they're all the same. I'm doing the frequency as very low, so they're quite spread out and the towns aren't all going to be crammed into one small space. There's going to be a bit of a distance between each one, and will expand out fairly rapidly because there's not an iron deposit every 2 feet. So that's the same with all 4 of the different ones. The size is small so that we're not spending forever on one deposit. It will dry up and the town will get its new purpose and we'll move on to somewhere else for our ore. And then richness I'm going to stick with regular because I've already limited it enough really. I do actually need some supplies here. Crude oil, I've been lazy with this, as I think you can see. The frequency is very low, but the size and the richness are big and very good. So basically, there's going to be 1 or 2 massive deposits that I can basically live off for the rest of my life. And there'll be 1 or 2 oil bases. And I'm going to do it that way because piping around oil is a faff, and barreling it and putting in trains is a faff as well. It may turn out later on if we get to an update and we get like oil tanker trains, then it'll be my own fault because I won't get to use the oil tanker trains because there'll be no point. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go with for now. So there's going to be just giant deposits of oil and we don't have to worry about messing about with that. We'll have enough to deal with, I think, with organising all the trains and things. And then enemy bases, that's all standard. I'm not going to be as wimpy as I have in some previous series where I drop all the settings down. I'm going to keep it standard, but I'm also too much of a wimp to turn them up. So it's all staying normal, not messing with that at all. The one thing that does affect the biters is that I'm having a starting area of big. What this means is that there will be a bit of a larger distance before we get to the biters. The reason being that with us setting up towns, they're going to be quite spread out, so we need a larger area initially to put everything in before the biters come, like before we start having trouble with biter bases and so on. Because early on, it's a bit difficult to gather all the technology you need for that. So there's your map settings. I think I've got everything covered there. So let's begin. And here we are. We've spawned in a desert and it looks like we have all the materials handy to get started. We've got an iron deposit here, a coal deposit just above, and there's a bit of copper and stone just a little bit further north. So we've set up our miner and our furnace. We'll grab a bit of wood so that we can start getting that fueled. And I'm noticing there's not much around in the way of trees. There's only a couple because we're in a desert and it looks like the biome just to the right of us is a sort of open plain sort of thing rather than a forest. So we're a little bit short on trees and that's a bit of a concern because it means that there's nothing to stop the pollution really. And it might get to the biters pretty quickly. We'll have to watch out for that and probably focus on military technologies to start with to make sure we can deal with any angry biters that come along while we're still using burner mining drills. So we've got a miner going, making some coal, and we're going to start fueling everything else with that, of course. We'll put a bit in there. Going to make sure that we keep fueling the mining drill. A couple of times I let it run out, which is a bit of a problem because it's the only thing supplying fuel. Though of course we can use a bit of wood if we need to keep that running. We've also set up a stone mining drill there. And we'll also grab some more trees while waiting for that. Once we've got 10 stone from that, we'll make our way back down to the iron deposit and see about making a second miner. Because early on, the main issue is just getting as much iron being produced as possible, because it's what you need for pretty much all the initial stuff. You need it for the furnaces and the and most of the power production things and so on and so forth. So we'll grab a bit of some coal from the miner. And ferry it up to the stone. And now we've got a little bit more. We can make another mining drill, and we can have the 2 of them feeding into each other on the coal deposit. That way, they will just keep running, and you don't have to worry about looping some coal back into one of them or whatever. And also, of course, you get double the coal production. So with that done, we'll go back up to the stone, resupply once again. Because of course we need stone to make all of the furnaces and the mining drills early on. And we'll start harvesting some copper. It's not particularly important at the moment. We'll just need a little bit of it to get the power production going. So I get that sorted, craft a pump, and also some boilers so they don't need any copper themselves. And then our main aim is just to get as much iron as possible so that we can set up a steam engine column. And there we go, crafting the first set. I've decided to just make a whole column in one go, because sometimes it's just best to start with a single steam engine just to get some power running. But I've got enough iron to set up sort of mini column in one go. I like to go for 5 boilers feeding into 4 steam engines. It seems to work fairly well, though the ratio isn't quite perfect. It's not that important really, and it's quite a nice modular design because it uses everything in it is 5 meters long. Anyway, setting up yet more iron production. We're getting this entire deposit covered, just to produce iron as quickly as possible. I mean, we could be more efficient with it. Well, I guess we could be quicker with it by changing the positions and just getting the maximum number of miners on it. But I think 4 will do, and we can start working on the power stuff now. I've already got everything crafted ready for it, including the our first science lab and our radar for when it's going. So we'll work out our positioning. We're going to have it right next to the coal deposit, of course, so that we can have the fuel running right into it. Though it's not a particularly big coal deposit, so we may find it runs out fairly soon, depending on how much coal power we use anyway. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And at some point we'll probably be moving it all as well, because of course, with it being Factorio towns, we want to be doing everything in different locations. At the moment I'm just setting it up all wherever I can, but once we've got sort of enough stuff, we'll start moving it out into individual locations. Anyway, we'll sort out the power supply for the steam engines. It's going to be coal, of course, and we'll set up 2 miners, one feeding into the other. And the reason I've done that is to sort of increase the lifespan of the production that they generate, because usually when a mining drill runs out of the 50 coal you've given it, you have to run back and resupply it. But if you have 2 running into each other, then the first one will feed the second one, and it just it means you have to check up on things less often. But we'll be transitioning over to electric soon enough anyway. Now we'll grab a bit more copper, and we can start making some science packs. We'll make our first 10, so that we unlock the automation research. And usually at that point you can just start automating the production of science packs. But I've decided that I'm going to do a couple of extra bits of research with manually crafted stuff, because for the moment I'm occupied with sorting out improving the ore harvesting and things like that. Once I'm finished with that, we'll start looking at automation. So for now we'll just keep crafting them ourselves, get a couple of extra bits of science done. And you can see there we've spotted our first biter base up in the northeast. It's been revealed by the radar, and it's a little bit close, and it's already in pollution range, which is a bit of a worry. So we're going to have to look into some military pursuits, I think. So we'll start by doing the turrets research so that we can set up a couple of defences around the place. That way, if any biters do come along, they don't cause too much havoc before we manage to stop them. Also, I'm starting to craft some electric mining drills now. I like to switch over to these pretty quickly because it's just easier, really. You don't have to run back and sort out supplying with coal and things like that. Continuing to craft some more science packs. We'll do 1 research beyond turrets before we start doing it automatically. Running around doing all the coal fueling, always the most annoying thing. There we go with the research. We'll start on military so that we can get ourselves a submachine gun and things like that. Grenades should we need to if we want to attack a biter base. Though we probably won't be doing that quite so soon. I'll put the remaining science packs I've crafted into the science lab. And I'm going to set up another bit of iron mining on here. The way I'm going to arrange it is that those 4 main mining drills are going to be supplying all the production and stuff. But that one little one down there can be my sort of personal supply, because you often find early on that you start running out of iron. So if we have that handy, we'll always be able to tap into that if we need a bit of extra iron in our inventory. So anyway, running up to the stone, it's run out of coal again, and what I'm going to do is start setting up a little bit of a system here for making stone bricks. This will be our first bit that uses power, really, apart from the lab and the radar, of course. Just a couple of inserters will run the power up to it, and this is going to make sure that we have a supply of raw stone and of stone bricks for whatever needs we may have of it. And there we go with the military research. So I ask it to do logistics next, but for now we're going to leave it. We're going to have that going once we start automating the science production. Anyway, we've run out of wood again, so we'll just wander out into the wilderness, try and find some trees, and there really isn't much around in the way of trees. There's no forest that we can tap into or anything, unfortunately, so we just have to keep sort of scrounging around wherever we can find them, and hope they don't run out. And we'll set up the inserters taking, well, some inserters taking out the coal from the furnaces here, so that we can start working on an automated system. We'll get the iron and the copper running onto a line, and then we'll start having it go into assemblers and so on. All this is going to be temporary, because later on science production can have its own particular base and so on. So for now, oh, there we go with the biter attack. Just this one single biter that ran along. Luckily, I anticipated it, and we already had a turret set up by the miners there, which fought it off. Though it did manage to hit me before it got taken out. So that's a definite sign that it's not going to be a very peaceful start to my time in this particular game. So we'll work on adding in some more defenses, make sure that we can repel any future biter attacks. Because of course they're going to get bigger. There's going to be more than one next time around, and so on. So got to watch out for that. Anyway, now that we've got the iron on a belt, we want to get the copper on a belt as well. There's a rock in the way here, and I decided instead of going around it, I'm just going to blow it up because, you know, I need to do it eventually. And also, I mean, it means I can keep the line straight. I then get distracted by fishing. This is something that I didn't realise was a thing in Factorio for a good while. That you can actually fish for all the little things swimming around in the water, and then you can eat them to gain health. So I thought it would be a good idea to grab a couple, just in case I get hit by some biters, and I have to heal myself. It can actually be quite useful early on in the game if you're attacking biter bases, and it takes quite a while to fight through them. Anyway, back over to the copper, checking up on that, making sure it's all fueled and everything, which is always annoying early on, having to cart coal around everywhere, which is why I like to switch over to electric mining drills and automatic fueling systems as quick as I can. As you can see, all the furnaces down here run out, well, all the mining drills even. So resupplying those once again, and once I get round to it, we'll just put a couple of electric miners there and won't have to worry about that anymore. We've also run out on my personal supply. It's just going wrong everywhere, really. Anyway, we'll swap out the miners that we have over here for electric ones. This could be dangerous, though, of course, because if if the power starts failing, then the supply of coal starts failing from the mine. You run into all sorts of issues, but it'll probably be fine. And we'll also switch over this supply to electric as well. Even though that was already a self-fueling system, but I think the coal on the ground was running out anyway. So we've had a second attack, this time from the north. And you can see on the radar we've got a big biter base developing up in the northeast now. Quite worrying considering how near it is and how big it is. It's going to be quite difficult to tackle it when the time comes. And we almost certainly will have to, considering just how close it is. So I've set up some extra defences. We've now got 2 turrets by the steam engines, and also 2 here, which is good because he just had another attack. So I've got 2 down by the iron, and also we're going to have to start properly sort of covering all of our systems to make sure that we're well defended from the biters. It's heating up quite rapidly here, so there's definitely going to be a bit of a military focus early on while we deal with these various attacks going on. So we've just got the iron and the copper onto a belt there, so we can start actually working on some automation now. I've started crafting the assemblers. It'll take a minute for them all to be made because of course we have to make all the individual copper wires and the circuits and the gears and everything. Also crafting a couple more electric furnaces so that we can carry on switching things over to electric power where possible. Continuing to fuel these. I'm trying to sort of build up supplies in them because of course we're only getting coal at a certain rate, so we're slowly building up how much is in each furnace, and it's taking longer before we have to go resupply them. But here we go. We're putting in the assemblers. Nice little even design here. I like the look of it because it's a square and everything. And this can make gears, circuits, and science packs. Not at any sort of high rate. It's just enough to get them being made. And that way I can just like run over and grab them, and I don't have to manually craft them whenever I'm trying to make something. And of course, it also means that we can have some red signs running in the background. Start doing some research again. Get logistics researched and move on from there. We're going to probably try and get all the red signs done, and then as soon as we get to green, we'll just do all of the rail-based stuff, so that we can get to the town stuff as quickly as possible. Anyway, I've now put in the science lab, and it's going, so we can just leave that to do its thing. Grab some gears and circuits, so we've got a bit of sort of crafting supplies. Checking up on the power, that's still looking fine, so we'll just leave that for now. and we're now going to finally transition this this iron over to electric power, so we don't have to mess about with it anymore, because it always drives me up the wall having to run back and forth between all the coal things, and I can never be bothered to like sort out proper coal fueling stuff for mining drills. So we are going to have some coal fueling here for the furnaces. We'll have it running in from the mining drill that we have just above where we are. Set that all up. We'll have 2 belts for it, one for the coal, one for the iron. Though we do compress things a little bit too much, so I have to sort of separate them out so I can fit in the power poles. Once we have the next level of power poles, there won't be a problem anymore. Though at that point we may already be looking at switching to electric furnaces. I like to make that transition as quickly as possible because it's just so much easier. Anyway, we'll set up the unloading, get that properly hooked up to the belts again, and that's all good. Another attack there. So we'll just I don't know why I got rid of I got rid of one of the turrets so I could make room for the mine drill. So I'll put that one back in. We're gonna have 2 defending this because it's quite a vital area, like the steam engine column is. Now at this point we run into a little bit of lag. I've actually run out of hard drive space at this point, so I quickly delete a couple of files to make some room again so that things can carry on running normally, and then we'll do some research, start looking at electronics, which should unlock a bunch of different stuff that we can work on from there. Though really we're just sort of going through all the red sign stuff right now. So over to the copper, and we'll transition this over to electric mining drills as well, and we'll also move up the smelting to where everything else is, just so that we can keep an eye on it, because having smelting on site is always an issue if something goes wrong, particularly if it's coal powered and things like that. So we'll stick 2 furnaces there. For now these ones are just going to be hand fueled because it's a bit more of a trek for the coal. I mean, it would take 2 seconds to bring it over, but I can't be bothered right now. I'll sort it out later or something. It looks like our supplies are alright. The iron is building up, and the copper should start now. We've doubled the production of it by adding in that second furnace anyway. Carry on with fueling what remaining stuff we have to fuel. We've got our own personal supply of iron to keep running. And we'll start looking into setting up some buffer chests. I like to do that just to make sure that if things start building up we can still make use of the machinery. So we'll have to go over and grab some more wood first. And while we're over here, I decided to go and have a look at this big biter base over here. Unfortunately, night falls just as I'm arriving, so I don't get to see it properly. I didn't spot any worms though, so that's a good sign. It means that it might be alright to deal with fairly soon. As soon as we have like armor-piercing ammo and things like that, so that we have a bit of firepower behind us, and of course some armor to help defend against their attacks. So I set up a second pair of furnaces for the copper, because it was actually running down. Now that we're making circuits and red signs packs, we're starting to actually make use of copper at a decent rate. Also set up our buffer chest now. The way they work is that if there's not enough on the line, they just stay empty. But if things start to build up, then they start to fill up, and then I can harvest the materials from those whenever I should need it. Running over to the stone there, we'll grab the stuff that's been made, and we've got some stone bricks, so let's make use of it. The new flooring feature has been added in the 0.12 update, so we'll put that in. Not really got any sort of plan for it. I'm just going to sort of pave everything in it for now, and see how that goes, and it'll just help me to run around quicker. It gives you a 30% boost in speed. If you can get concrete, you get a 40% boost. So we'll just make it a square for now, and then just try and use up the rest of what we've got. I'm trying to put it underneath all the machines before I forget. Even though it doesn't really matter about putting them under all the machines, I could just leave it. Anyway, we've got electronics research, so we'll work on steel next. Grabbing a little bit more stone, because I want to make more flooring now. I'm trying to get this whole steam engine column floored. We'll also add in some more defences, because with the biters continuing to attack, it's probably a good idea to make sure that we've got all of the sort of major areas of production covered by some turrets. So I'll put one on the copper there, and the stone. Also plant one just sort of in the middle here, in case any biters get past our sort of first lines of defence, or whatever. And we'll grab some more iron there. Our sort of personal supply keeps filling up, so I keep ending up putting the ore into the main smelting area to make use of it. Checking up on the science, we're making good progress, but I think we need to speed it up a bit, because we've got a decent supply of iron and copper now. So we'll add in a couple more assemblers. We'll get 4 assemblers going for red science. That's the standard that I sort of go off. Though it's based on the sort of late game design of having 4 level 3 assemblers. So for now, level 1s will do. And I guess we'll never upgrade them because we're going to be moving all this, hopefully. I have previously said in the first episode of a series that some certain thing that I'm building is temporary, and then it's still been there in the last episode, so I shouldn't be so sort of decisive about it. It could end up that this is the science town or whatever. Anyway, with 4 assemblers now set up making red science packs, we of course want to add in some more science labs as well to make use of them. So we'll add in 5 for now, and that should go well. I'm not really sure of the ratios and things like that, so I'm just going to put in plenty of both, and that'll just speed things up, get the belts going along. Though I realise I've accidentally not made the belt long enough there at the end. I'm still trying to shake the old habits of having the belt go 1 square less than it needs to be in front of the inserter. Anyway, we're hoovering up a bunch of materials off the belt, so we have plenty of sort of crafting supplies. And of course that means the belts are all completely empty, though it looks like the iron supply is struggling a bit. So I scout out the nearest iron deposit, and there's one in the south. So we'll see about setting up some mining on that. I've disconnected the output of the storage chest there because our iron's getting a bit low, and I need to build up some supplies. Because of course, in order to get the iron being delivered back to the main base, I'm going to need some belts. And for belts, of course, I need iron. And if the iron's starting to get short, that might be a bit difficult. So we start setting it up anyway. We've got our first couple of mining drills in. We'll start running back the belts, and of course set up some defences because there's been some biter attacks coming from the south. We want to make sure that this new place is defended, and we'll start making what belts we can to bring the materials back. It looks like I've caught things quick enough, so there is still plenty of iron around to turn into belts, but there have been previous times where I've been like so ridiculously short on iron that I've had to start like carting it back by hand in order to get some more smelted and things like that. Anyway, nearly got it connected up now, and what we're going to do, grab a little bit more iron just so we've got enough to finish off the belt, and then we're going to take the power over. Of course, running over the power poles at the moment, all we have is the basic ones, so that'll do for now. And once we've got them powered, we can be sure that things will run fine. Well, we've got to make sure that we connect it up at the other end, but it means that when we get to the other end and connect things up, it'll all be good, and we'll get a bunch more iron ore coming into our smelting, and probably set up a couple more furnaces and things like that to get that going. So once we've got this connected up, we'll go back to the middle and finish up for today. So I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.